Is YouTube evil? And when I mean by YouTube, I mean all of it. Social media, Instagram, Facebook, X, the works. Is it inherently evil? In today's engineering diary, we'll be speaking about some of the things that I've discovered over the last few days that might shock you. Hi, I'm Dr. PK and welcome to MoloMolo Tech Studios. Here we talk about tech mentality, how we communicate, but more importantly, how does tech help us empower ourselves and our communities. Today I want to talk about something that in a way has troubled me. Now let me tell you what happened. The last couple of days and weeks, I've been finding myself being a lot more self-aware on the fact that I tend to binge on specifically YouTube Shorts. And how I find myself kind of get into a self-aware shock is I would discover that 20 minutes has gone by and it felt like 5 minutes or sometimes half an hour, and depending on how late it is. Sometimes an hour would go by and it felt like 30 minutes or 20 minutes. And I thought to myself, that can't be, that time accelerates to a point where I'm surprised at what I've been doing. And that got me thinking, how does social media actually work? For what I mean is, the engineer like myself, there are engineers whose job is to design these apps, whether it's YouTube specifically, and we're on YouTube, whether it is Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, you name it. Engineers are there to design and to make it as efficient as possible. And what is the metric for efficiency for an app like a social media app? It's engagement. How can I engage people as much as possible so that they can stay on the app as much as possible? And one of the things that really got me into the rabbit hole is it's all around psychology. And sometimes we think, especially as engineers, as technical people, psychology is for, for those guys, for the other guys. But we completely forget that psychology, the reason why psychology research is still such a big field today, is because we are driven by psychology. And I got to really read a little bit the last few days about just psychology and what it means, and just to be better equipped. And hopefully I do justice to some of the research I've been making. Some of the things that I found out is that all of us have specific personality traits, and it's called personality psychology. I'll put up a link in the description that comes with this video, and you can it's a Wikipedia page. Have a look, peruse, and let me know what you think. But one of the things that really struck me is the fact that we are able to now predict with very high accuracy the type of psychology makeup we all have, whether it is overly neurotic in terms of just bad feelings, or feelings of self-doubt like myself, or we're overly what they call over exerted, or extraverted, as they say, and those who like to be out and be socially active and socially connect as opposed to introverted. But also there is something called sensitivity. Those who are sensible, specifically when it comes to feelings and the ability to want to be sensory stimulated and consistently feeling the sense of dopamine. And then there's something called impulsivity, where the probability of you making rash decision without necessarily thinking, or without having your brain telling you to stop. Now, the amazing thing about this is that there are something that you can think about as an everyday, which got me really thinking. Forget about social media, because I think social media is so new. Think about casinos. Casinos are essentially designed around psychology. Because if you were to think about it clearly, how is it that someone is willing to spend all they have, specifically those who keep on losing, all they have and come back for more, day after day after day, night after night, to spend it all on a slot machine or a jackpot, or whatever other machines they have, without a sense of waking up? It's if you're living your own reality. And apparently, what I found out, there's a specific industry all designed around persuasion. And there's a specific technology, or at least the specific technology called persuasive technology. Persuasive technology, and I'll read it, is basically technology that is designed to change attitudes or behaviors of the users through persuasion and social influence, but not necessarily through coercion. That is Wikipedia, straight up. So it is technology that is specifically designed from concept till deployment to maximize your behavior being changed. And that behavior is rooted in understanding and predicting your psychology. What are you more prone to reacting to? What are you more prone to doing subconsciously, almost as if you're on autopilot? Isn't that scary? But I went even deeper. I think it was yesterday. I watched. Most of you might have watched it. If you don't know, I'll put a link in the description. It's called The Social Dilemma. Basically, it's a documentary really about just exposing the dark side of social media, specifically the giant of today, which is your Google and YouTube and Instagram and Twitter. Pinterest, right? Pinterest is apparently addictive because you are consistently addicting to wanting to redecorate your home or new clothes or coming up with new concepts, that seeing how other people are doing it and getting validation on how much people think you're doing right is an addiction in itself because it's rooted in your psychology. So what does that actually mean? It means that there are people out there who have essentially mastered the art of designing a piece of tech, usually apps, that within their algorithms is consistently testing to figure out what type of person are you, without you having the education of even being aware of what type of person you are. Most of us don't know this. Most of us don't spend time in trying to be analyzing what makes us tick. Life is busy enough. Why should I? But it's so crucial because now we live in a world where technology in that documentary, Social Dilemma, it clearly tells us that a tool is something waiting to be used. Social media and all these apps are no longer a tool because it's a tool that has ingrained the need for you to come and use it. It is consistently calling through notification, through being in your face, on your phone, on your laptop, on the TV. It is consistently there. It's no longer waiting. It is calling. And that is scary. Now, what does that mean for you and I? And what does that mean for a channel like this, who essentially is trying to bring awareness, is trying to bring a certain mental fortitude for us to move towards a more resilient way of using tech, of designing tech, or innovating, of helping companies and individuals to flourish through engineered solutions and technical coaching? What does that mean for us as a community? I would like to say the following. Point number one, get educated. Because the last few days and the last few weeks, I've become a lot more lighter in terms of being self-aware. And it's not really just heavy reading. It's just the desire to want to be in control or to want to know that your actions, you may think, I think that's something that I was speaking to my wife earlier, is that you don't realize, I think that is the brilliant part of it, is that you spending time on an app, and it could be different things, and you may think it's by choice. For example, I love YouTube Shorts. My wife prefers Instagram. But you don't realize the choice in itself is flawed because the app has different ways of enticing the very psychology that triggers that dopamine. It knows, and if it doesn't get that trigger, it changes tactics. And another way of triggering you will happen, which in other words, it means that if you're not aware, you're essentially being blindfolded in walking into whatever this app is telling you to walk into. Literally blind. And as if your hands are tied behind your back, your eyes are completely blindfolded, and you are asked to walk left or walk right. That is essentially what the persuasive psychology means. Now, even further, a designer, an engineer, a data scientist goes to school for this. And I found this out because in Stanford, there's a specific, and I'll put the link also on this, there's a specific course in Stanford called the Stanford Behavior Design Lab. And it revolved, and in that lab specifically, there were alumni. You know who the alumni of some of those specific ways and algorithms of designing apps, you know who they are? Facebook, Instagram. And I don't think they mentioned other names. I.e., the very people who made billions, trillions from essentially data mining you and I were all came from ideas that came from a lab. Not by choice, or should I say not by accident. It is by design. Now, if that doesn't wake you and I up, I don't know what will. So my message is very simple. I'm not saying throw away your phones. I'm not even saying I will throw away my phone. But I'm saying let's have the conversation. Let's wake up. You and I on this platform, YouTube, it's amazing. It's got amazing benefits. I've learned so much from YouTube, and I'm sure you have as well. But there's another side of it, which we shouldn't forget. It's a business. People are making money. People feed their families. People go on vacation. People go, and all of that is, and how I can describe it, the business model is about predicting as much as possible through engaging and through maximizing that engagement, what type of psychology you are, so that they can predict your behavior and sell it to advertisers. And that's why the business model is all about views. The business model is all about viewership and engagement and maximizing that to the point where YouTube no longer is the one doing it, but is incentivizing the people who are doing it. Essentially, YouTube has become a pimp. I mean, I can only put it in that way. A pimp that has workers along each street corners for which we bump into. Scary. But at the same time, it's a two-sided coin. Everything is good and bad, but the only thing that makes it bad is when, the psychology of people is unfiltered, which means the targeting of, not necessarily targeting, but the unregulation for those who are prone to have social disorders or psychological disorders, which are the young minds, which are the disturbed minds, which are the victimized minds. And we talk about people who have been victimized in the past or victimized right now. We talk about youngsters, teenagers. We talk about, children. And those are the people who the algorithm almost says, I don't care. I have my model. I do not see age. And that is the problem. So that is the message today. The message really is about self-awareness. The message is about let's get woke, let's wake up. Let's wake up to the fact that you and I are interacting with tools whose primary focus is understanding your psychology, so they can persuade you to do the very things that you think is by choice. I'm Dr. PK. This is another engineering diary of MoloMolo Tech Studios. Tell me what you think. Let's have a conversation below on how you plan to be ethically aware of the things that you use or the things that you want to see, specifically around technology. And let's carry on the discussion. Until next time, ciao.